Greetings, this is Paul, your Pacific Northwest trail guide. I want to help you pick your next trail to explore, so let's check this one out. Not far south of the city of Bend, Oregon, lies a huge active volcano with an incredible array of accessible features. The Newberry volcano is around 600,000 years old and has had eruptions as recent as 1,300 years ago. Over the millennia, the flows from this volcano have created many features miles away from the caldera that you can visit. However, this guide will take you on a long loop around the caldera of the volcano itself. On this trip, you'll get to focus on the central features of the caldera, including lakes, cinder cones, and big obsidian flows, from both far away and up close and personal. The whole loop is 15.5 miles long, with over 2,300 feet of gradual ascent. As you might have guessed, the crater of a volcano is pretty high elevation, so this hike takes place near 7,000 feet of elevation. You'll need a Northwest Forest Pass or Day Pass to park at the trailhead for this hike. To get ready for this hike, you'll want to make sure you bring plenty of water. You'll be on the trail for a long time, and while you may be in sight of an incredible amount of water most of the time, there really aren't any water sources near the trail until the last section. Also, due to the length, be careful to get started early enough to complete it before dark. Having extra time wouldn't be a bad thing either, as you might want to drive to some other attractions in the Newberry Volcanic Monument area that are not on the hike. Get to the starting point of this hike by driving to Paulina Lake. You can get there easily by coming in on Highway 97 south from Bend or north from LaPine, Oregon. You'll turn east onto Paulina East Lake Road and go the last 13 miles on that road to reach Paulina Lake. As you approach the lake, you'll see a day use area on the left. Turn into this parking lot and find a spot. This guide will walk you through from a perspective of starting from here, but keep in mind that there are a number of other places you can park near the trail on this loop if you want. There is a bit of a mess of trails intersecting this area, but you should be able to find the Paulina Lakeshore Trail here near the day use area boat launch and pick it up heading west. Keep following the Lakeshore Trail until you reach the road bridge going over Paulina Creek with flows from the lake. Glaciers in the distant past may have helped to carve this outlet in the crater rim where this creek now flows from. If that had not happened, this caldera might today be home to one big, much deeper lake. Immediately after the bridge, you pick up the Crater Rim Trail on the left side of the road. For this first section of the hike, you'll be doing almost all of the climbing on a gradual 4-mile ascent first. Then you'll emerge onto the rim of the crater with nice views and follow along it to the junction with the Newberry Crater Trail. Keep in mind that this section of the loop on the Crater Rim Trail is popular with mountain bikers, so you'll want to watch out for them coming downhill towards you. The Crater Rim Trail starts out as a nice, wide dirt path designed for multi-use with snowmobiles and horses too. You gradually climb up as you get higher and higher above Paulina Lake, which can be seen through the thin alpine forest off to your right. For those who bring their bikes here to ride the Crater Rim Trail, this section provides a fun, light downhill descent with a few flowing turns and a number of small drops off of trail erosion protection logs that are built into the trail. When you get close to the high point of this hike on the rim, you get better views of the lake and of the big Obsidian Flow on the other side of it. This giant rock flow was created during the most recent eruptions of Newberry volcano. To the right of the flow, you can also see Paulina Peak, which is the highest point on the crater rim. You won't visit it on this hike, but you can actually drive right up to the top if you want. The trail passes through this pumice field on the rim, blasted here thousands of years ago by the many eruptions. As you head more to the east, along the north shore of the lake, you pass a trail junction that goes off to the north to some far-off destinations. And we continue on straight to the east, now on a gentle downslope. About a mile and a half later, you reach the junction with the Newberry Crater Trail and turn right, heading more steeply downhill and towards the northeast corner of East Lake. The next section of this hike will take us down the crater rim to East Lake. We'll be looping around East Lake and heading back to the west. We'll then get up close to some smaller obsidian flows south of East Lake, formed about 3,500 years ago. Then finally approach the big obsidian flow, coming back into the vicinity of Paulina Lake. When you begin your descent on the Newberry Crater Trail, you dive into the most dense forest on this route. Enjoy this peaceful setting on a less traveled trail, where you'll most likely not have any more bikes coming your way. As you finish your descent and come closer to East Lake, the forest becomes more thin. You'll see occasional spur trails going off to the right, which connect up to campgrounds near the shore of East Lake. Hey, buddy. Our trail continues to travel south until we reach this crossing with the gravel Newberry Crater Road. We cross and continue on, heading west now. Shortly after crossing the road, the trail approaches and follows this small Obsidian Flow area. This is one of two smaller, older flows on this south side of East Lake. Next, you'll approach a short section of the trail that follows under this stretch of power line. This is the first of many stretches like this. As you go through this section, keep an eye out for where the trail leaves these power line sections, as it can be easy to miss it and just continue on following the open area under the power lines when the trail has actually branched off and left it. I did just that at this area where the trail approaches another smaller lava flow. In my case, it may have been a good thing because it meant that I approached this water trough from the other side, which had a young black bear drinking from it. He bolted off up the trail when he saw me, but it might have been a bit more uncomfortable encounter for both of us if I had been on the trail by the trough and come up behind it. Whether you take the same detour I did or follow the trail correctly, the trail then approaches the Hot Springs campground. The trail is a bit ambiguous here, and kind of ends as you walk into the campground. Just get on the road and follow it for a little bit, and the trail picks back up again, continuing on along the second small Obsidian Flow near East Lake. Before long, you leave the small Obsidian Flow behind and continue on through a long patchwork of trail, leaving and joining the path under the power lines cutting through the forest. The trail even comes right by the main paved Forest Service road as well on this stretch. Eventually, you will come to a junction with the Lost Lakes Trail, which means you're getting close to the end of this section on the loop and the big Obsidian Flow. Continue on through this flat, sandy section of the trail. Soon you reach the junction with the Silica Trail and the road to the Big Obsidian Flow parking lot. Turn left and head into this lot. This marks the end of this section and a little diversion to do before the next section. You'll follow a paved path up into the huge Obsidian Flow that you could see long ago when you were high up on the crater rim. You'll follow stairs up to an awesome creation of a small loop trail cut into the Obsidian Flow. This little loop actually takes you up about 200 feet of elevation, and you can get a bit of a view out from the flow at a little vista at the midpoint of the loop. I may be a big fan of huge mossy boulders, but enormous obsidian boulders are pretty awesome too. Not sure how you'll be feeling this late in the long hike, but make sure not to miss this little loop, whether you do it now or drive back here some other time. The lake attracts a lot of wildlife up here, so this route can be a bit of a wildlife safari at times. I also ran into this coyote making his way through the Obsidian Flow. I hope he doesn't cut up his little coyote footpads. When you're done with the Big Obsidian Flow, head back to that junction near the entrance and take the Silica Trail towards the lake. You'll cross the paved forest road and continue for less than a mile through the forest, making your way towards the shores of Paulina Lake. The last section of this hike takes you back to Paulina Lake and follows along the shore of it all the way back to the end of the loop. The Silica Trail ends at this little parking area for a boat launch. Continue on through the lot up to the boat launch. You'll find the Paulina Lakeshore Trail right there next to it. While most of this route is bikeable, keep in mind that bikes are prohibited on the Paulina Lakeshore Trail, so you'll want to plan a slightly different route when mountain biking this. We now follow the Lakeshore Trail, which meanders along the lakeshore. It goes by beaches, weaves through marshes, and even passes by the backyards of some houses. The shore of this vast lake may look like it goes on forever in the distance, but continue on the Lakeshore Trail, and eventually you'll find yourself back at the day-use parking area where you began. Now it's time for trail ratings. The terrain on this trail is all pretty easy, and there aren't any special features to traverse. Probably the roughest terrain you'll deal with is the little loop on the Big Obsidian Flow, which is a rocky, often uneven trail of crushed volcanic glass. I rate this 2 rocks for terrain. Consider the elevation and exposure for this hike when it comes to elements. 2 clouds there. This is a longer than average hike that might be a bit much for a casual or occasional hiker. It gets 4 boots for length. The climb for this hike is on the high end of average, but it is quite a gentle climb and really not a lot considering how many miles we cover. 3 mountains out of 5 for climb rating. Well, that wraps it up for this edition of Pacific Northwest Trail Guide. I hope I have or will soon help you pick your next trail to explore. I scouted this trail in September of 2021, but trails are always evolving. If you pick this trail and encounter any changes people might like to know about, please help out your fellow explorers by sharing in the comments on this video. I've shown some of the beautiful sights of this trail in what feeble capacity video can render. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but an experience with all of your senses cannot even be conveyed in pictures or video. So don't take my word for it. Get out there and see it for yourself.